The modern era of the Premier League has conjured a new defining debate for the midfield connoisseur, a successor to the timeless Lampard and Gerrard conversation. In the other, Moises Caicedo, the foundational piece of a resurgent Chelsea under Enzo Maresca. This is not merely a question of individual talent, but a fascinating clash of philosophies where the outcome of their silent, relentless battle will fundamentally shape the destiny of this titanic London clash. The fascinating layer to this duel is that their most decisive contributions may not come from direct confrontation, but from how effectively they can hunt in the spaces the other team leaves vulnerable. Arsenal's entire defensive approach is engineered to unleash Declan Rice as the primary hunter. The system is a carefully laid trap designed to corral opposition possession into specific zones where Rice's unique blend of power and anticipation can be most devastating. No! The Gunners will employ a pressing structure that encourages Chelsea to play the ball into their fullbacks, particularly in the wider central areas. The moment that pass is released, the trap is sprung. Whether he starts from a deeper or more advanced midfield slot, Rice's instinct is to immediately accelerate into that corridor, hunting down the receiver with ferocious intent. He is not always expected to cleanly win the ball in that initial challenge. The genius of the system is the safety net, provided by a teammate like Jorginho or Thomas Partey, who shifts across to cover the space Rice vacates. The objective is to force a mistake, a heavy touch, or a panicked pass under pressure, which then ricochets into the path of the supporting midfielder. Suddenly, a turnover in a seemingly safe area becomes a devastating 4v4 transition, with Arsenal's attacking talents facing a disorganised Chelsea backline. Rice is the catalyst for this chaos. His hunting runs the trigger for Arsenal's most potent attacking moments. Conversely, Chelsea possesses its own predator in Moises Caicedo, and Maresca's tactical blueprint is equally clever in facilitating his destructive talents. When Chelsea forces Arsenal into their own build-up phase, the Blues look to create a different kind of pressing puzzle. They will often push their wingers high and narrow, effectively forming a three-man backline and allowing the fullbacks to engage. In this structure, Caicedo is deliberately positioned as the spare man, floating in the space between the lines. His role is not to apply the first wave of pressure, but to lie in wait for the second ball. As his teammates engage and harry Arsenal's defenders and deep-lying midfielders, Caicedo's radar is active, reading the angles of potential passes and anticipating where a loose ball might emerge. If possession is coughed up in that critical central zone between Arsenal's defence and midfield, Caicedo is a missile locking onto its target. His explosive acceleration over short distances allows him to pounce on these half chances, turning defence into attack in a single heartbeat. In this regard, he and Rice are mirror images. They are the designated hunters, the players their managers have built systems around to be the primary disruptors and transition engines. The fascinating tactical subplot is that both Arteta and Maresca would likely be content if their star midfielder spent the majority of the game shadowboxing, hunting in different areas of the pitch rather than directly clashing, each backing their man to be the more decisive force. While the midfield battle provides the strategic foundation, the most visually compelling individual duel will be fought on the flank, where Bukayo Saka seeks to solve the unique problem posed by Marc Cucurella. History is not on Saka's side. Cucurella has developed a reputation for being his kryptonite, a defender who thrives on making life uncomfortable for the league's most dangerous right winger. Cucurella's success is rooted in a simple but brutally effective game plan. He refuses to play on Saka's terms. Instead of engaging in a foot race or allowing Saka to cut inside onto his favoured left foot, Cucurella uses his body position and aggressive positioning to shepherd Saka down the touchline into what can be described as tactical, dark alleys. He funnels him towards the byline, an area where the options are limited, and the support of a covering central defender or a tracking midfielder like Caicedo is readily available. In these tight spaces, even a player of Saka's immense quality struggles to overcome a numerical disadvantage against one of the league's best one-on-one defenders. The solution for Saka and Arsenal, therefore, may not be to try harder, but to be smarter. And sacrificing Saka's offensive output is unthinkable, but his greatest contribution could be a selfless one. By intelligently varying his positioning, he can render Cucurella's specific man-marking duties irrelevant. We saw a glimpse of this in the North London derby, where Saka at times held a wide position, pinning the opposition fullback and creating a cavernous gap in the inside right channel for a midfielder like Martin Odegaard to exploit. This concept can be amplified through fluid interchange with his teammates, particularly the right-sided number 8. If Odegaard drifts wide into the half space, it creates a moment of defensive confusion for Chelsea. Is it Cucurella's man, or does a midfielder pick him up? In that moment of hesitation, Saka can dart inside, receiving the ball in a more dangerous central area, away from Cucurella's primary zone of control. In this scenario, Saka becomes the link man rather than the finisher, quickly combining with the advancing midfielder or striker and forcing the Chelsea centre-backs into uncomfortable one-on-one situations. The key is to isolate Cucurella, to make him a spectator by moving the battle to a part of the pitch where his specific defensive skills are neutralised. The final tactical quandary rests with Chelsea and the potential role of their mercurial talent, Estevão. Following his electrifying performance against Barcelona, the clamour for his inclusion is understandable. He is a player capable of single-handedly altering the complexion of a game, who generates a palpable buzz of anticipation whenever he receives the ball. However, the decision for Maresca is not about talent, but about tactical structure and risk management. The choice in the front three is between the raw, game-breaking potential of Estevão and the more controlled, experienced industry of a player like Pedro Neto. Starting Estevão from the outset, especially in a game where Chelsea may face extended periods without possession, carries a certain gamble. His defensive contributions are less defined, and Arsenal's relentless system could potentially exploit any lapses in his off-the-ball discipline. There is a compelling argument, however, for deploying Estevão as a strategic finisher rather than an initial starter. Introducing him in the final 25-30 minutes against tiring legs could be a devastatingly effective strategy. Furthermore, his specific skill set aligns perfectly with a potential weakness in the Arsenal backline. William Saliba's occasional discomfort with dynamic, unpredictable runners receiving the ball in behind. While Saliba is a defensive Rolls-Royce in most situations, a player of Estevão's ilk sees making incisive diagonal runs from the right flank could pose a unique threat. If Chelsea can remain in the game until the latter stages, the introduction of Estevão could be the wild card that turns the tide. It allows Maresca to maintain initial solidity while holding in reserve the most potent weapon to exploit the fatigue and potential frailties of the league's best defence. In a game of such fine margins, the decision on when to unleash this particular hunter could be the most decisive of all.